Hello and welcome to JLM University. My name is Paul and today I'm going to show you how to change out a pivot bracket arm on a Power Pole Move PV. Please check the description below for a list of recommended tools. Before doing any work on your Power Pole Move PV, be sure to turn off the power and beware of pinch points. Now we're going to use our Phillips screwdriver to remove the two Phillips pan head screws on either side of the upper shroud assembly along with lock washers. Now that the screws have been removed, we're going to simply raise the upper shroud assembly. Now that the upper shroud assembly has been raised, we're going to take a Phillips screwdriver and we're going to remove the two screws along with lock washers from the cover of the steering circuit board. Now to remove the cover, just take your two fingers and simply just pull out and straight up on it. Okay, now we're going to use a flat-headed screwdriver to place in the slot on the upper shroud pin, and while holding that in position, we're going to use our ratchet with our 3/16 attachment to break it free. Once loose, you want to simply remove the screw along with the washer. Okay, now we want to repeat the same process on the opposite side. Once the last screw is removed, you can remove the upper shroud assembly. Now we're going to be removing the pivot arm brackets, port and starboard, along with the crossbar assembly, along with compliance rings with a flathead screwdriver and a Phillips screwdriver. Let's start by removing the two screws from the crossbar. Now let's remove the crossbar assembly. Now we're going to remove the springs from the pivot arms by pulling up and over the pins. Now we're going to be removing our 3/8 E-clip with a flat-headed screwdriver. Now that we've taken the E-clips off, we're going to remove the pins. Now that the pins have been removed, we're going to rotate the bracket forward. Now that the foot pedal bracket has been removed, the pivot arm can come off very easily. Now it's time to install our pivot bracket arms, but first you want to install your white nylon bushings to each side of the upper pin. Before installing the pivot bracket arm, be sure that the pin for the spring is facing in. Before you secure your pivot arms, you want to install your crossbar assembly in between the two arms. Make sure your compliance rings are on the bar. Next, secure your crossbar with the two screws and be sure to use Loctite. Be sure to use your torque wrench and tighten to the specific torque specifications found in your instructions provided. Next, we need to attach our spring to the upper pivot arm and to the lower pivot bracket plate. Now we will flip the foot release arms back to align. While holding the arm in position, insert your pin. Next, we want to install our E-clips onto the pin with our E-clip tool. It's now time to install the rear cover. Be sure to torque the screws. Now it is time to install the upper shroud. First, we're going to install our washers on the very inside of the upper shroud. Now that the washers are in position, we're going to place it in line with the upper pin. Next, we're going to place the sides of the upper shrouds in position. Now we need to place our washer onto the screw and install it into the upper pin of the upper shroud. And add 1 drop of blue Loctite to the ends of threads. And the last thing we need to do is to install the two screws on either side of the upper shroud. And that is how you change out a pivot bracket arm on a Power Pole Move PV. Thank you for watching.